The latest news on the city of Thompson, only on 610 CHTM.
Hello and welcome to City Beat. I'm your host, Jaret Schnieder, and joining me today is Mayor of Thompson, Tim Johnston. Good morning, Mayor Johnston.
Good morning.
I'll give you as first minute to run things down from the past week.
Well, a couple of things just to highlight in terms of events that I attended over the last week. The first was last Friday. I attended the and provided greetings at the Operation Red Nose kickoff, and which was held at the Lakeview Inn and Suites, who also held an open house, and so I had a chance to tour some of the renovations, which look great. In terms of Operation Red Nose, this is a tremendous program in this community. I understand it's now in its 15th year, which is unbelievable in terms of the volunteers getting out and supporting that program. Congratulate Tom O'Brien as being the honorary chairperson this year, and all the volunteers, led obviously by Bobby Montine over the years in terms of the people that come out and drive and things like that. So great program. Thank the sponsors, especially MPIC and or MPI, I guess now, and encourage people to use this program. This is about making our streets safer and making the holiday season much more enjoyable for everyone in our community. Excuse me, had the opportunity to attend the Remembrance Day service on November the 11th at the Thompson Regional Community Center. I want to thank the host organizations, the Royal Canadian Legion and the Army Navy veterans, and I also want to thank all the residents for coming out. I think that there were more people in attendance this year, and I think that's appropriate, and I think it is our responsibility to show that level of respect for our veterans, and I was pleased to provide some comments at the service. I also want to convey that the City of Thompson, in response to the request from the Legion, flew the poppy flag at City Hall, and we also flew our flags at half-mast in recognition of Remembrance Day. In terms of a couple other things just to highlight, I can advise that last week we did have a fair amount of snow. I understand it was the largest snowfall since 2011. And but we were able to get all residential areas cleared by Friday evening. We actually worked an overtime shift on Friday because we felt it was important to get all the residential streets done during the week. I want to thank our crews for doing that, and the patience and the understanding of the public in terms of working with us as we completed that. In addition, I just want to note that a big one for me is that the public area tenants now with the snow are no longer working. Those are individuals that do the cleanup in and around the community. Excuse me. And I've always said that they are two of our city employees that truly do make a difference in terms of the cleanliness of the community. But there's really, and I've said it before, there's no reason in many ways why we need those positions, because they're picking up after our residents and our visitors, and there's no reason why our residents and our visitors shouldn't be ensuring that they're putting garbage and litter in the proper containers. We have added so many refuse and recycling bins in around this community, and I encourage people, take pride in the community, put your garbage where it belongs, in the bins, and we certainly will bring our public area tenants back next summer, but let's make it easier on them, and if we all do our part, the community will remain clean all year long. And that's a bit of an update in terms of some of the events or areas of emphasis I want to touch on. The only other thing is that the city has started our budget deliberations for the coming year.
204-677-8181. We have Mayor Tim Johnston joining us today. 204-677-8181. Now, we've seen a few water breaks across the city over the past week or so. Maybe just tell us where some of these are, when we can expect to see some of them or all of them all fixed, and how they're kind of affecting the city at this point.
Well, it has been challenging over the last week or two, and that was one of the difficulties we had in terms of doing some of the snow clearing as well, because Public Works is responsible for both excuse me, snow clearing as well as the water breaks, and there's no rhyme or reason really often for where the breaks take place. We've had them in a variety of areas. I know Westwood, I know here in the Juniper area, Cree Road. So our goal is when we have a break, we try and get to it as fast as we can within 1 to 3 days, and it's certainly based on the priority of where that break is in terms of the amount of water that's flowing. So it's always a challenge. That is why this council and the previous council moved forward with the water utility, because we have to replace the lines, not just patch them. So because of the utility, we now have a long-term plan to replace lines. We started last year in the Brandon Crescent area. This year we did the Oxford Bay area, and I know they have a fair amount of work planned for 2014. And one of the things that we're trying to do is that we base it on where the greatest need is. We did an analysis of every street in terms of the number of breaks that they've had, and that's where we want to go first. And so what we've been doing is planning it on a cycle where we'll go in and fix the whole the run, and then hopefully come in and do the roads and things afterwards. So I believe it's the right plan. It's just it'll be a challenge. You know, we never really replaced infrastructure in this community, especially the water sewer infrastructure. We only patched it, and I think the plan that we have now in terms of long-term replacement is the right way to go.
204-677-8181. We have Mayor Tim Johnston joining us today, taking your calls. 204-677-8181. Now, last week we talked a little bit about the standing committees of council and the reasoning for having some of the councillors, 3 of them. We had Stella Locker, Judy Collada, and Luke Robinson, who were all left out of all the committees. Now, I know it's a council voted in process, but we've actually been having a few calls in to us here at the radio station over the past few days or so, and asking us as to, with the 3 of them, you know, being, I know it is a voted in process and things like that, but with them not on any of some of the committees, they were voted in by the communities. Now, with some of the city decision making and things like that, with them being kind of left out of that, how does that sort of represent the city and the people who did eventually, you know, vote them in?
Well, no one is left out in terms of members of council, because every member of council is invited and encouraged to participate in every committee meeting of council. And just to note that committee meetings of council are also open to the public. I will acknowledge over the last week some of the councillors that weren't named were attending committee meetings. I respect that. I think that that is the role of every council member to attend the regular meetings of council and the committee meetings of council as they're available to do so. So we're going to continue to function, council as a whole, in terms of our committee and our regular meeting schedule, and I encourage members of council to play an active role. They have that opportunity to do so.
204-677-8181. I would just like to mention, that was actually my next question, was are they still allowed to participate? And as you mentioned, it is open to the public, so it's good to hear that as well. Now, with another city council meeting here coming up on Monday, what are some of the things that we might see on the agenda?
Well, it's an interesting one. I didn't have an opportunity to attend the Legends and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee meeting yesterday that where the agenda is put together. I was in another meeting, so I'm not completely certain of what is on the agenda, but I do know that we do have a regular meeting on Monday night, and I believe we're moving forward with some of the resolutions, standard business. So encourage people to attend, and one of the things that we are in consideration of is in providing an opportunity on future agendas for sort of general inquiries from the public at the start of the meetings, as opposed to people having to wait to the end of the meetings for question period. So I think that would be a positive move. So I encourage people to come out, and again, if people want information about committee schedules, they can find them on the website, or they certainly can contact the community, and I encourage people to attend those committee meetings. That's where much of the work is done in terms of preparing recommendations for the consideration of council at regular meetings.
204-677-8181. Now, we have a busy weekend in the city of Thompson this weekend. We have things like the Thompson Playhouse's Christmas play, the 10,000 Villages sale starts tomorrow, the Juniper Center craft sale, the Norman North Stars are also in town, and we've also got fundraising for the Thompson Humane Society, and that's just to name a few of the things. So what are some of the things that you might be attending this weekend, and where might we see you around the city?
Well, I'll tell you this, no one can say there's nothing to do in Thompson when they look down the list of events for this weekend, and I think it's great. It just reflects the diversity and the amount of entertainment options that people have in Thompson, and as well as the active role of residents in terms of participating. So you know, I'm hoping to get out, and certainly I'd love to get to the Dashing Through the Snow either Friday or Saturday, as well as hopefully to one of the hockey games, and I know that Tammy will likely be dragging me to perhaps some of the other events as well. So it's a great weekend. Encourage people to get out. It looks like the weather's going to be good, and you know, it's a chance to celebrate all those positive things that we have in this community.
204-677-8181. Taking your calls to Mayor Tim Johnston, 204-677-8181. We're slowly running out of time, but before we go, we'll get to a few more questions. Operation Red Nose, you mentioned you had went to the kickoff, I believe it was last week, and they're getting things going here towards the end of the month. So maybe talk a little bit about that program and some of the things that we can expect to see from them throughout the course of the winter and the holiday season.
Well, again, I think it's just a great program, and I think from my perspective, it's a program that I certainly endorse. I've used it in the past, and I always say that's a positive thing. I really believe this is an option that we can use to address the safety in the community from an impaired driving point of view, and as well as from a point of view of just quite frankly making it a little bit more festive during the holiday season. Again, I thank and I acknowledge all the volunteers for coming out and making that program a possibility, because really it is about the volunteers doing it. So I encourage workplaces as well as individuals to contact if they have some time that they'd like to volunteer as part of the crews on Operation Red Nose.
204-677-8181. But before we go, I'll give you, of course, as always, the final minute to preview things for the week ahead.
Well, just a couple of things. Again, today I'm very pleased to advise that November the 14th, today is World Diabetes Day in the city of Thompson. I did have an opportunity to attend an event about a week or two ago in celebration of Diabetes Month, which is the month of November as well. So it's all about education and information. And thank those that are working in the healthcare field to address this issue, because it is a big issue in northern Manitoba. And so I was pleased to proclaim both those events. In addition, I just encourage people to get out and take advantage of, again, the opportunities this weekend. And I know that we're anticipating some snow next week, so we're trying to get a little bit ahead of it in terms of clearing some of the stuff that's been piled right now. Again, I like the process that we're using, the priority process for snow clearing. I direct people to our website, as well as I believe we're going to be getting a mailer out to people just advising what the snow clearing policy and procedures are. But as always, I appreciate the involvement of residents in the community, and I always appreciate phone calls or comments and the opportunity to talk about the great city that Thompson is.
And that will do it for City Beat this week. Make sure to tune in every Thursday at 11:30 to catch a new edition. And to find out what's going on in your city, I would just like to thank Mayor Johnston for joining us today, and to everyone else, I hope you enjoy your Thursday.